Presiding over these proceedings is our prized compatriot, Morris P. Moss. I, myself, the chronicler of the Storm Giants, who is me, shall mediate this meeting of members in their immediate dispute.
Buzzing among the boughs of a great and mossy tree ant are hundreds of small creatures with dragonfly wings, the buzz almost more metaphorical than audible. Rumors and tales travel among the Sprite clan of the Storm Giants at such a speed, it's nearly impossible to pick up on what's happening. However, it seems that a so-called land dispute for a home on the highest branches of their patron, a great honor among the clan, is about to be debated and perhaps settled.
The dispute is for the privilege of residing on the tallest branch within the tribe's allowed territory. First speaker, speak and be heard.
A stout, bold-looking sprite flies forward.
I am Oopsie, the giant dropper. Recognize me, the deepest voice of the tribe and keenest mind. Creator of the boulder shovel, slayer of the hill giant. I deserve the highest position among the branches for my innovation and invention. I slew the hill giant and her young with my contraption, toppling a mighty boulder from the hill cliffs to the east into the nesting den of this foul beast. I saved those lands from stench and destruction of brutish kinds.
A lean and wizened sprite flies forward and meets their opponent's gaze as the crowd's murmuring rises and falls.
I am Blinky Fiendfeather. Recognize me. I have the most eloquent speech of the tribe, and the largest and mightiest wings. Creator of the sleepy time poultice. Strong enough to fell an orog, which I did, blasting him off a cliff's edge in the west with a buff of my wings. As he toppled over, I slew the leader of orcs that would have ravaged the lands. I deserve the highest position among the branches for my wisdom and might.
The crowd nearly cheers at the end of the statements.
And now for the rebuttals.
A swift silence falls upon the crowd as Oopsie puffs up his chest.
It is the greatest folly to believe that Blinky Fiendfellow is the most honorable. Surely a gust of wind assisted his wings in toppling the orog. The sleepy time poultice is marginally stronger at best than our previous toxin, the Follower Sleeper, which was far stronger than its predecessor. How dare he believe he is nearly as significant as I, an orog? My hill giant is much larger and a far greater victory. To slay a beast of such proportions is the greatest achievement in all fairy kind.
Blinky adjusts their spectacles with a derisive sneer.
How foolish it is to put your trust to Oopsie, the giant dropper. To honor him is a fool's errand. He used the inventions of men and dwarves to create his boulder shovel. Ideas of the modern and civilized world. These have no place in our woods. No matter the threat. Through nature I created the sleepy time poultice and slew an enemy much more cunning than any hill giant, a victory that cannot be cast aside.
The tree ant suddenly stirs for the first time, letting out a low and elongated chuckle.
Ho, ho, ho. Both are well stated and have performed incredible feats. There is only one way to truly determine who is most worthy.
Without a thought, the chronicler addresses the crowd once again.
By ancient tradition, decree, and law, we shall perform the dance of skirmishes.
The entire tribe turns to the party in one swift motion, the buzzing reaching a cacophony. You swallow hard as the chronicler speaks once more.
Oopsie, Blinky, choose your proxy.
Roll for volunteer?
Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them. Well, hello there, creatures, and welcome to another episode of Encounter This, Fapril Edition, where we, today, are going to be talking about the sprites from the Monster Manual on page 283. And as always, I am one of your hosts, James the Sprightly Kid, and presenting sprites is my good buddy, Freeman the Heathen Easton.
The much anticipated, ever since last week, Sprites episode.
Sprites, gotta be better than Pixies.
And let me just start you off. With a bit of a dramatic quotation.
Oh, I'm here.
And retelling.
I'm ready for this.
Straight from the Monster Manual. Here we go. The tree had a wee village nestled in its boughs, I swear. Next thing I knew, I was lying face down in the dirt. My head was full of stars, and when I stood up and looked around, both the tree and the village were gone. Tale of a half-orc ranger.
Is that in reference to King Taramon's tree in Panju, or is this
See, I'm so glad you. I would. That's a reference I would have forgot from the last episode. I'm super glad that you caught that because I remember thinking that. And so let me give you a little quick breakdown. Very quick, brief breakdown of sprites.
Before you do, I just want to confirm that it's credited as a half-orc ranger. There's no name given. Like that's no. The credit. Okay.
Tale of a half-orc ranger. That's it.
Got it.
So my voice is very loosely based on that vague description. But sprites are aggressive and hardy warriors. Sprites are fey creatures. And obviously, and they live in shady glens and secretive groves. They're tiny creatures with dragonfly-like wings, and they do not shy away from taking severe measures to ward off strangers from their homes. Any stranger that does trespass has their moral character judged before being put to sleep or frightened off.
It's not.
So this is your
better.
intro. So, Desga, this is your intro to sprites. How do you feel about them so far?
The same as I do Pixies.
Okay.
Why aren't they the same creature?
No, so you don't feel the same about them. You wish that Pixies were these guys.
I don't understand why we have two, is really what it comes down to.
Right.
Like, they're tiny fae with gossamer wings that like to play tricks and judge people. Like, why are there two?
Why aren't they just called fairies, the two of them? Yeah, so one of their key lore features is that they do build their homes and villages in the boughs of trees, and in some cases, willing tree ants. And they also, of course, prefer verdant environs like glades covered in moss or toadstools or wild flowers, which sort of adds up with tree ants for sure. Sort of forested areas. Also explains that quotation in that the tree disappeared as well, and that the tree was likely a tree ant.
Right. Okay, that adds up to me now.
Mm-hmm. So, when strangers do trespass on their territory, they first attempt to scare them off with simple tactics, with things like the sounds of snapping twigs or rustling bushes. This is a little bit different than, say, Pixies, where they just play tricks on people. They are actually trying to scare or frighten you away. If said intruders persist, they will find themselves stung with poisoned arrows that are designed to lull them into a slumber. And the sprites then take advantage of this slumber and retreat to a more secluded portion of the woods or forest. So they are aggressive, they are hardy, and they are, they don't shy away, but also they don't, bite off more than they can chew. They do their best to protect themselves, and if they need to move their territory, they will, to some degree.
Okay. So they've got little tryptophan tipped arrows. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the moral judgment of a character is a very particular part of this creature, and is actually performed through a unique attribute or ability that the sprites have. They can innately sense good or evil of a creature by the beating pattern of its heart. And so, in a more flowery way of putting it, they can sense the fluttering of a heart in love, to the flagging of one in sorrow, or even one darkened by hate or greed. According to the lore, the truth can always be discerned in this way because the heart, apparently, cannot lie. We are, of course, treading on an immersion reality territory here akin to a lie detector test, essentially.
Yeah, or Daredevil.
Or Daredevil, right? So you do have to suspend a certain amount of disbelief to really follow that and feel it. But it's a fantasy world.
That's being generous. I think you have to suspend all of the disbelief.
This portion, or all of the portion, or all of the disbelief, suspended. So I mean, it is a pretty unique thing, but they literally, like, you kind of can't. We'll find out a little bit more about it later, but you kind of can't avoid their moral judgment, which is kind of an interesting thing to play with.
Okay.
The poisoned arrows of the sprites are the result of a deft sort of culture. Their culture, they have the deft hands, as it's put, at brewing toxins, unguents, poisons, and antidotes, so on and so forth. And they will venture very far and wide throughout their native forests to seek out the mosses and fungi and flowers and other flora that's required and needed for these concoctions. And you're going to love this part. When they are desperate, they may very well venture into the garden of a hag and steal what they need.
My favorite part about that is that hag's garden.
Seriously, the more the more we talk about fake creatures and reference hags, the more I think about just what their home is like. They're just probably living in some rickety Hansel and Gretel shack, but man, there's probably so much stuff to find, in a very unassuming, forest abode.
Yeah, absolutely. Like an infinity dungeon in their basement or some shit. Like,
oh yeah, seriously.
love it.
A portal to the Feywild or something,
Yep, definitely. And more than a few corpses.
More than a few. So with sprites, despite their aggressive nature and their mistrusting nature, they absolutely favor good aligned creatures and actively oppose those who are evil, and especially evil archfey. And they do so at every turn. And here is a controversial statement, and this essentially comes from the Monster Manual. I'm going to read how I wrote it, and then I'm actually quote the Monster Manual in a sec. But they basically will particularly look to rid the forests of evil fey, or direct quote, goblinoid menace. And if any of these are obvious goals or targets of intruding creatures, such as, adventurers, the party of the PCs, they will quickly pledge themselves to aid said creatures. And this is a weird, delicate one because goblinoid menace is an entirely unnecessary additive to that description. And when I came across it, it really stood out to me, especially with the recent talk in the last couple of years, realistically, about the role of orcs, which we will eventually cover in more detail, in that universe, in, the sort of obsessive no way of escaping evil. The part, so I am going to just directly read one sentence from the Monster Manual to give you an idea of what I'm trying to get at. And it says this is where I picked that information. It says, if they encounter adventurers on a quest to rid their forest of an evil fey creature or goblinoid menace, they will pledge their support and even come to their aid when the adventurers least expect it. The problem with that sentence is that if you just completely remove goblinoid menace, it still stands. Like, we don't really need to be told that goblinoids are evil, to be given an example of it. Evil fey. Evil is the descriptor. Fey is the sort of noun. It's a completely unnecessary part of describing it. Now, it could be argued the way that sentence reads is that goblinoid is just an example they're giving. But I read it as, goblinoids are absolutely an option because they are evil.
Right.
And that's the problematic thing we've been coming across, especially taking note of in recent years.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I agree that that's how that sentence is supposed to be read.
Mm-hmm.
My immediate interpretation of it is that sprites are little racists.
Sure.
Like, I know that sentence is designed to imply that goblinoids are evil, but it doesn't specifically state it. So taking it at face value, they just hate goblinoids, and that's on sprites,
right,
not on goblins.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue against that a little bit in the fact that, there's no more reason to make that the obvious interpretation than what I've argued, just because it is lined up with evil fey. Prior to that, it's just that they favor good aligned creatures and actively oppose evil.
Yeah,
and sure. Then it says evil fey and goblinoid menaces.
Yeah, and like I said, your reading is correct, but
yeah,
there is another interpretation there if you want to plumb those depths,
for sure.
Which I don't particularly like. None of this interests me enough to give it that amount of time a day. If you want to run a world where it's as black and white that goblins are evil, I mean that's your prerogative as a dungeon master. Do I agree with it? No.
Surely,
because I don't believe that anything in this world is that absolute, especially when it comes to the nicheness of individual personalities. There's so much room for contrast there that it just doesn't make sense to run it. Yeah. But if you want to run it, then that's
for
as
sure.
long as your players are fine with it and you're not harming anybody, go right ahead. I can't stop you, and I don't
for
have
sure
the desire to.
Yeah, and the problem there's two very different problematic things that I see with this, and one is it's just very passive. That wording is very passive stereotyping, which is in and of itself quite dangerous. It seems mundane on the surface, but it's not. And then the other one is that. We give wizards a lot of shit for being too vague, and this is an example of where they've been too specific. They just don't need to specify that. They don't need to. They need, evil versus good. That right in and of itself is vague enough, but you get a really good idea of what direction to go or not go and interpret. That's all you really need to go on. You don't need to specify that these creatures are definitely evil, and that specification is unnecessary, and it's the wrong direction, I think, for the writing and the world and universe.
Yeah, I agree
5e is they're just known for being vague, so that it could be open for interpretation. And I think this is why they're getting the flack now, is that where they are specific on these sorts of issues, it's just unnecessary, and it doesn't add up with that open to interpretation approach. But anyway, we won't dwell on that any further. I think we're on the same page for sure.
Yeah, I was just playing devil's advocate. I agree with your interpretation and your read of it, and the fact that it's wrong. But this isn't. This isn't where I want to. This isn't the cross that I want to die on against wizards. You know what I mean?
Certainly not. Yeah, no, for sure. It's something that's been addressed by far more than us, and
far more qualified people at that. Yeah,
far more qualified. couple of dudes having some beers.
A couple of white dudes having some beers.
Yeah, doing our best to be allies and not, and just stay in our place. Yeah. So I mean, we'll move on with lore. We just got a little bit left on the D&D lore for these guys. But unlike Pixies, Sprites seldom indulge in merriment or fun. They remain very firm and steadfast, and they consider themselves warriors, judges, and protectors first and foremost. Now, I kind of love this because they have this aggressive and mistrusting nature, and the part that I really like is that other Fae find them to be too serious or sullen due to these various zealous natures. And I love that because, as a general rule, Fae really are very aloof and sort of non-committal, or at least through the perspective and interpretation of, mortal creatures. And I love that Sprites kind of lean hard away from that in a way. And that other Fae really do find it off-putting. And they just kind of don't care,
I mean, I can relate to those two sentences.
No doubt. So there's a really solid thematic aloofness from the Sprites themselves, that they don't really care what the other Fae think. Forget it. But then all Fae kind of just don't care about what anyone else thinks as well. And here we have this sort of inner turmoil within the Fae world. So I just thought that was cool. But beyond that, despite these aggressive and mistrusting natures and, very territorial approaches, they, if that territory is respected and, and very particularly if they, you pass the moral judgment of character, these Sprites will quickly find themselves allying with, people with the right intent and allowing them in their territory. But it's definitely a very hostile or aggressive approach first,
Yep, I do.
And I mean, there was as I was researching, there were a few references from older editions, particularly 1E and 2E. As far as I know, they just appeared in 1st and 2nd, and then 5th. So we didn't see them in 3 and 4. And
Okay.
but pretty much all of the content's the same, other than some of those classic, they appeared here in this part of the geography. But I didn't really even come across anything interesting as far as specific named Sprites or anything like that. So not so much there. But if you look at the artwork, share.
Speaking of the artwork, let's just dig into this 1E artwork, because I need you to explain to me what in the actual fuck is happening here. This is gonna get us shut down.
I have no idea. I think the big guy is the Sprite. This is gonna be on Instagram, guys. Enjoy. And he's sitting on a toadstool. He's got a little sword on his waist, and he's holding a flower that apparently has a fairy and or pixie kneeling on it.
She's riding his antenna.
Balancing on it. She is riding his antenna. Which is really weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm just going to assume she's flying by, and it's not as still and static as it appears. It just doesn't add up.
No, nothing about this picture makes me like the angry expression on that Sprite's face. He's like pissed at the flower.
He's really angry at the flower that he's holding. It's really weird.
He is about to say something not PC, I can tell you that.
Yeah. And then the 2E art's actually quite nice. It's like a nice picture. I'm not so sure it depicts what I've described so far. I mean, it doesn't. It seems a bit odd in its, I don't know, attire. It's got a strange hat on. It's almost like a fez.
Is that what it is? I thought it was like
like the Shriner's hat,
like a bandana. So I thought this was a swashbuckler. 'Cause you've got the rapier, the really thin sword, and the really tiny shield, the buckler.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was like a pirate's bandana with like a bead on the end.
Oh, and it looks like a fez to me.
It does kind of look like a fez. I see it now that you say it, but
Yeah, it's not like a bad piece of artwork, but it seems a bit strange.
No, it's quite nice. It's really the whole thing is very soft. It's almost like watercolor-esque. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Yeah, and then the 5ER is actually quite great. It's got proper dragonfly wings, and he looks ornery. That sprite looks ornery as all hell. Like he is not having it. Whatever it is, he's not having it.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's a nice quality image. I really like it. But that's it for 5e lore. That's it.
Oh wow, that was quick.
Yeah, quick and easy. And not disinteresting, but not overly interesting. Already just better than Pixies. Literally straight up in there it says they do the opposite things.
Yeah.
It just makes it better.
I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
angry.
So we'll dive into a little bit of cultural lore. I did find a few interesting things here. So essentially, as far as sprites go, they are supernatural creatures from European folklore mythology, just like pixies and fairies. Of course, depicted as fairy-like creatures and actually ethereal entities. So already a big stark difference there.
All right.
The word sprite itself, you will not be surprised, derives from the Latin spiritus, meaning spirit. And it comes through via the French esprit.
Right.
The variations in spelling include sprite with the IGHT, which is sort of the more familiar spelling, I suppose, to us such as in your nickname, the sprightly, James Kidd. That would be the appropriate anglicized spelling for that way of saying it.
Right.
And then there's also a Celtic and Cornish spriggan with the SPRIGGAN.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and this I'm assuming has by spirit you don't mean like the religious version of spirit. You mean like vigor.
No, I think it's more the former.
Oh, really?
In that they are ethereal entities. So it's less religious, but more supernatural and sort of otherworldly.
Okay.
Yeah, these sprites are often mentioned alongside fairies and elves, and particularly other diminutive folklore creatures. In fact, there is actually still some modern references to these in modern beliefs, particularly in Neo-Druidism and I believe called, I don't know exactly how to say this, but I'm going to say Asatru. So Neo-Druidism is a modern spiritual and religious movement focused on connection, harmony, and reverence to the natural world. And Asatru, also known as heathenry, heathenism, contemporary Germanic paganism, or Germanic neo-paganism.
Those are such vague descriptors.
So this is actually is classified by religious scholars as what's called a new religious movement. It's a classification, and it has been developed as recently as the 20th century. And is specifically modeled from early pre-Christian religious beliefs and structures. So I can't quite remember what you had in Pixies, but we had a bit of a joke there about how the Pixies were more true because it was pre-Christian. So I remember that happening. And I was just like, oh yeah, I totally have something for that for sprites. So they will pop up in some of these modern beliefs, but these modern beliefs are heavily modified and influenced by these pre-Christian notions and whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we're not going to dig. This isn't Freeman and James religious talk, but hot take
certainly
here:
not.
Christianity's not great. Like on the
Not to cut
whole,
that.
like their contributions to the world on a whole, not great.
It's a lot of bad things. A lot of bad things happen.
A lot of bad things. Like I get hope. I get the belief in hope, and it's nice to have something to believe in. But try something else.
Don't need all the bad stuff to have that.
No, Islam
Proven.
great. Buddhism great.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
sects
yeah.
of Catholicism, or Christianity, not Catholicism. Some sects that I'm aware of, great. Druidism, probably also not great. Probably didn't give a whole lot of good things to the world. A lot of human sacrifice in Druidism.
lot of death. Just death everywhere we go.
Yeah.
But I mean, speaking of beliefs that we do or do not ascribe to or promote, there are some beliefs, and this is an extremely vague line you're going to get from me. So there are some beliefs that sprites were air elementals or sylphs. I have no reference for that. That just came from the wiki page.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I'll put it in.
Yeah, sylphs are like very specific. Pixies were also thought to be sylphs.
Right.
They're from a specific origin story, and I don't remember which one it is because I also didn't dig into it because it bored the shit out of me.
Right. And that line alone is the only reason I mentioned it in the Pixies episode in the I think it was the 3E art. That was a bit confusing because there was 3 creatures in it. It was like, what's going on there? And I was like, oh, maybe it's a sylph or maybe it's a water spirit, which is the next thing I have too, is that there were mention of water sprites in Greek mythology, particularly writings of Paracelsus, which we've mentioned before. I can't remember when, but Greek writer that mentioned some of these mythological things.
And we're
And
just to confirm, it's a hard C there.
I have no idea.
Okay, so I've often heard him referred to as Paracelsus.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I just sort of, as a general rule, I avoid pronouncing, say, the C and the S in the same way when it comes to like Greek or Latin words.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. That's my foundational like instinct rule.
No, that's fair. I mean,
Don't say them the same, and then it'll sound somewhat appropriate.
it looks like Celsius, so I'm going to say it like that.
Right? Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? So I mean, you got me there.
I think Celsius was French, but yes, sure.
Yeah. But what's and this is actually pretty appropriate. But I do have a note here that says up until now, all of the cultural lore up until now, almost none of it has references or sources via the Wikipedia page. So like, I have no idea how reliable it is. There was very little to go on. There was like small amount of information, and a lot of it just didn't have an annotation for a reference or anything.
Oh,
so
that sounds reliable.
yeah. Just when you thought
My
Wiki
apologies
wasn't
to the
reliable.
Swedes, Celsius, Anders Celsius was Swedish.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Amazing. Yeah. We'll just gloss over that with an apology to the Swedes.
Yep. We also apologize for not citing our sources.
If we could, we would. We'll go ahead and do another slight apology to the Celts. I purposely didn't pronounce Spriggans correctly because apparently through the anglicizing of different dialects, the way it's spelled does not represent how it's supposed to be pronounced in this particular case. And that's what I gathered from yet another wiki page. But it's supposed to be Spriggan. As far as I know, no specific emphasis on the first or second syllable.
Okay.
But it's not Spriggan, which I've said for I don't know how long, but it's Spriggan.
I don't think I've ever said the word Spriggan before, so this is
Right.
good.
I mean, the only reason I have is just via video games. I think particularly the Elder Scrolls games. They're a pretty common, relatively common creature in them anyway.
Oh, okay.
But the Spriggan is also a similar derivation to the name of Sprites in that it also means the word spirit, just from a different language, different dialect, but very much the same thing. And but in the sort of Celtic and Cornish lore, they are depicted specifically as very grotesquely ugly, wizened old men with childlike heads.
I mean, that adds up with the 5e art.
Yeah, sort of. I could see it. I don't see wizened old men, but childlike for sure.
He looks like an emo kid with a David Bowie tattoo.
He does a bit, doesn't he? That's good. Now, Spriggans will were usually found near old ruins, cairns, barrows, and usually guarding old treasure. And they were small, but considered to be, and this is one of my favorite things, the ghosts of giants, and retained the gigantic strength that they once had.
Like Ant-Man.
And yeah, right. Totally. Sprigant Man. And
You can have that one, Feige.
in particular, a story by someone named Robert Hunt in his book Popular Romances of the West of England, which of course will be on our reading list. They also possess the ability to swell to enormous sizes.
Like Ant-Man.
So Ant-Man. Yes, Sprigant Man. And
Feige, call me. I got the screenplay for this already thought out.
Oh, so good. In one story, an old man got the better of a band of Sprigians, and by turning her clothes... Okay, sorry, I'm going to say that again. In one story, an old woman got the better of a band of Sprigians by turning her clothes inside out. Turning clothing supposedly being as effective as holy water or iron in repelling fairies in order to gain their loot.
That's legit, because fairies hate iron.
I didn't know that at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah. But there's another, like, very... I mean, this is from Sprigians, not Sprites, but this is a very, like, close connected thing to the Pixies. Like, and, you know, you put that straight up in your homebrew, like, big time.
Yeah, I mean, Pixie Led, yeah.
The turning your clothing inside out. So, huge relation there in the cultural lore.
You don't say. The little creatures with pointy ears and gossamer wings are related.
Who'd have thunk? Not me.
Like Shadow Mastiffs and Hellhounds all over again.
Seriously.
Just pick and choose your lore and make it work.
So Sprigians were delighted in mischief against any who offended them, and had rather unpleasant dispositions to begin with, apparently. And according to the book Piskies, Sprigians, Knockers, and the Small People, Traditional Tales of Cornwall, they raised sudden whirlwinds to terrify travelers, sent storms to blight crops, and sometimes stole away mortal children, leaving their ugly changelings in their place, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, so fun fact, I didn't cite it in the episode, but it'll be in the reading list. This is the book where it talks about children playing with rags that are actually pixies.
No kidding. Okay. Yeah. Double reading list. Love it. And I loved that it was, I picked it out right away when when we were doing Pixies, that one of the spellings was Piskies. And I was like, I saw that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty cool. And I've shared a picture in Discord there. It's the first one that I shared. And it is a sculpture from 1993. So it's actually, it looks old, but it's quite recent. And it is of what's supposed to be a Sprigian by Marilyn Collins. And it can be found along the Parkland Walk in London, England. It's pretty cool.
It's huge.
It's big, yeah. And it's like crawling out of a wall. And it looks really neat. And I think it does a pretty good job of that loose description of a sort of grotesque, wizened old man with a childlike head, you know?
Yes,
You could almost buy the oldness but childlike aesthetic at the same time. It's pretty neat.
It's really hard to tell with this photo, but you let us know what you think. We'll definitely make sure we throw that one up on Instagram, because it's a cool photo, and
that'll for sure be up there. Yeah. Yeah, pretty interesting. But I mean, yeah, that's all I've got for the old cultural lore. Most of it's on Sprigians and not even Sprites, but or at least the interesting stuff. But tomato, potato, you know.
Yeah, it sounds right. Yeah, I mean, I like it. There's enough there to kind of build something off of. I get why this was two different creatures in cultural lore. I still am kind of unsure why it's two different creatures in 5e, but maybe we'll get to that in a few seconds here. But
totally, yeah.
These Fae, they're nice, and they're positive, and there's some really good like D&D lore. But you know me, Freeman. I like a little bit of darkness in my life.
I was waiting for it. I was like, I could hear you reaching for the beer. I was like, he's going to plug it. How is he going to do it?
Usually that
Lord.
darkness is through the undead, metal music, or just like straight up the darkness. I do not care for sunlight. Today, though,
What
to
about the
water
band?
down these sprites, we're going to go with Strange Fellow's Blackmail Northern Milk Stout.
Stoot. A nice Northwest Stoot. Yeah, why not? Why not? To combat the evil Fae, we must first delve into the darkness of the Blackmail Stout.
I was born in the dark.
Is that like the funnest accent to do a terrible job of? I was born in the darkness.
That's legit my best impression of Tom Hardy's ADR there. Like that's the best I've got. I'm not Kevin Smith.
Oh, so funny. All right. Well, let's. That takes us to the old Mechanix.
Yeah, gray ooze it looks like.
Yeah, I changed everything but the name apparently. So I saw that. Damn it! Just when I thought I had it all. So it'll be to no one's surprise that these creatures are also a 1/4, just like the Pixies and CR.
I am a little bit surprised by that. I would assume that
Are you?
they would have at least one attack.
So one thing is for sure, is that these creatures are no less, in my opinion, no less role play forward, like 100%, and not something you fight. They line up with Pixies in that regard.
Right.
I think you'll be more satisfied with the stat block on this creature.
If they have a single attack, I will be satisfied, and they will have earned their place in the
they do.
monstrous manual.
In fact, they've got 2, but they absolutely are not something you're meant to fight. Not even en masse, to be honest.
Okay.
Although we did sort of talk about how cool would it be to have a swarm. So maybe it's food for thought. But 1/4 CR, HP of 2, which I believe is 1 up from the Pixie.
Well, yeah, 1 in the manual, but 1d4 minus 1, yeah.
Yeah, and then AC of 15. They do wear leather armor. So for a quarter creature, I feel like it's not a terrible AC. They are of course tiny. They are neutral good. They have a land speed of 10 feet and a flying speed of 40, which I recall is 10 up from the Pixie.
Okay.
And on the fly speed. And they speak Common, Elvish, and Sylvan. So that's 2 languages up on the Pixie.
Yeah, that's way better.
Yep. No immunities or resistances or vulnerabilities to speak of. And their dex is lower than the Pixies at 18 with a +4. But otherwise, the stats are more or less the same. I think their strength is slightly higher, which is still at a 3 from -4. So it's kind of negligible.
Lovely.
Technically.
Nailed
Yeah. But they're more or less the same in that regard. They do have a bit of a boost to their perception, a bit of a boost to their stealth. And that just pretty much brings us straight to their actions, which is they have they don't have any passive. They don't have no abilities. They have no passive abilities at all.
All right.
Everything is based on an action economy for these guys, and they're all standard action economy. Basically, we're looking at longsword attack, +2 to hit, 1 slashing damage. There's no dice roll. It's just 1. Same thing with the short bow, +6 to hit, 1 piercing. However, just like the lore says, of course, you have to make a con save, DC 10, quite low, or you will be poisoned for 1 minute. And if the failure is 5 or lower, then you fall asleep for that duration instead of just being simply poisoned. And you do only remain asleep until you take damage. Another creature uses an action to shake you awake, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Which to me, I'm already not a fan of. I like the idea that the DC is low. It kind of makes sense. It's a very low CR creature, but like if you do fail by 5 or lower, at least just make that sleep like not the same as actually just being asleep. You've been poisoned. You've got something running through your system. By the words of this, you can literally just like get hit with that, take 1 damage, fall asleep, and someone would just walk over and be like, "Hey, wake up," and just like shake your shoulder, and then you do. It kind of defeats the purpose. No, I think the poison will still run through for that minute, but it's still. But that's it. That's it for their direct attacks.
Okay.
Thoughts, questions, concerns so far?
I do have one concern.
Yep.
Are their arrows tipped with pixie dust, and are they the ones who are hunting the pixies? I know you can't answer that, but I love that idea.
I don't think they have any reason to hunt a pixie.
Well, pixie dust.
They probably
Poison
dislike
arrows.
pixies, but I don't think pixies are evil, and I certainly don't think they hang out. And Sprites, I think that's definitely one big definitive difference between them in the 5e lore is that they do not have any mention of pixie dust. They are not pixies. They do not have dust. They do not function that way.
Right.
Their poisons are purely concocted and brewed by their culture and people.
Alchemical. Got it.
All alchemical, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they're weak. Their attacks are pointless, give or take, but they're
Right.
there, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, really the only purpose of their attack is their poisoned arrows at the end of the day, and that's something. It is something to play with as a DM to really sort of kind of get the players going. And if you're at first level, low level, if someone fails that, it could really put some tension into the scenario. So kind of a good introductory tool to play with.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that brings us to their next action, which is called Heart Sight.
God, I hate that.
And
I hate it already. What a dumb name.
so the sprite does actually have to physically touch the creature.
Nope, shut the fuck up. It's called Sight.
I know.
Get out of here, wizards. Get your shit together. Find a backpack, put all of your shit in it to get your shit together and get the fuck out of here. It's called Heart
Okay,
Sight.
hold on. No, I don't disagree, but I'm actually going to jump ahead now. They do have invisibility, just like sprites, or just like pixies. Sorry,
Is that supposed to make you feel better?
not necessarily, but like they can magically turn invisible, and unless they attack, cast a spell, or lose concentration, their equipment and their carried items remain invisible. So they can turn invisible and go up and touch these creatures without having any repercussions. Like touching someone is not an attack or casting a spell.
Yeah,
So they can get right up to you, touch you, and use Heart Sight. So mechanically, they can do it without any. That touch isn't disadvantageous. What's the word I'm looking for? Disadvantageous to them.
Sorry, I'm too mad at this right now.
But no, I know what you're saying.
can't even
I mean,
think
it's
straight.
either it shouldn't be called Heart Sight, or it just shouldn't be a touch. And well, it's
Just
real. It shouldn't
pick
be
a
a touch.
fucking lane. It's not complicated.
It's called heart penetration.
It could be called Heart Taste for all I care, as long as they have to go up and lick the creature.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Unless, okay, I don't want to be ableist. Maybe all pixies are blind. Do they have a passive perception?
Yes. 13.
Do they have a sight mechanic?
No extra senses.
Do they have a sight or dark vision or anything like that?
No.
Okay,
No.
so maybe all sprites are blind and I'm being ableist. If that's the case, I apologize. Because I understand that some people see and read with their
Right.
hands.
Right. Sight
I
sight can be interpreted in different ways. Technically, yeah.
No, it can't. It has one
Well-
meaning.
Well, I mean, tabletop RPGs. Now we're talking semantics. Now we're talking by definition of what dictionary semantics. Tabletop RPGs for a long time have been using things like blind sight or different types of sight. They gain blind sight through smell.
Right.
They gain this sight through hearing. So I'm not saying that wizards took that into account when they wrote this.
Well,
but
if we're gonna get
this is not the only
pedantic-
guilty party.
right? If we're
at
gonna get
all.
extra pedantic, though, those are one word. Those are a singular word. This is heart,
Right.
sight. This is two separate words.
Well, it could just be
Implying
that they
that
are
one can
seeing
see
into
the
someone's heart.
Yes,
There's-
that's exactly what it's implying.
So, it doesn't have to be literal. It doesn't have to be literal at all to
Well,
do
then
that.
why call it that?
because it's a non-literal fantasy game. Even though all of their wording is meant to be very literal, so that you understand what's happening.
right,
Look,
let's-
I am spitballing hard
I know,
to
and
argue against you.
You're doing real good. You're doing real good over there. You almost had me for a hot second there, but like I'm just. This is like speaking Yeti all over again. Like I'm in the
Oh no!
but like we need to let it go. This episode's already getting too long for the amount of content that it actually is. Like just tell
my
me
God.
what this heart touch is.
Well, they can magic. I'm sorry. Oh, fuck's sake. They can magically see the emotional state of a creature via this heart's touch sight.
Okay.
But on top of that, they just get that right away. On top of that, there's a arguably an unnecessary DC 10 charisma save in order to actually know the exact alignment of the creature. And then a celestial fiend or undead creature automatically fails the save. No idea why, but that's the case. My guess is that a celestial fiend or undead creature have no way of masking their alignment.
Yeah, because
Maybe
they're
that's
so hardcore in that
Right.
direction.
They're really built on those things. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
part of their core.
I mean, you could also just have given them detect good or evil. That would have done just fine. Instead of like giving them some knockoff Mati powers or some shit.
Right. But there was actually a part of me that I thought, you know what, James might like this because they don't have any spells, whether they're at will, there's no innate spell casting, because we've had a lot of talk about how that just doesn't work well with the creature stat block. So they have this ability instead of detect evil and good and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they should be able to cast it as a spell. I'm saying it could just as easily, like heart sight, acts as detect good and evil. Like,
Right.
that would have been
Just
fine
would've
for
been
me because A, you don't have to touch somebody. And B, it pretty much does the same fucking thing.
I thought you were going to say, and B, you don't have to touch somebody.
Oh no, I'm trying to get away from that. Now I'm really trying to square it with how they didn't get sued by Captain Planet, but I'm guessing Captain Planet came after.
I have no idea.
Yeah, and I guess
Let's be
Mati could
honest.
actually like talk to animals and shit.
Sure. I don't remember anything about Captain Planet. Like, not a thing.
Mati is the kid from Brazil who wields the power of heart. It's earth, water,
okay.
fire, and heart. Oh, and wind. Yeah, it's
Well, I mean, let's
drink Jaeger away.
let's please do. I'm really glad that in Pixies you brought up Kaywood Publishing's Monsters of Phaland, because it made me realize that I need to go double check it for Sprite. And there is a stat block in there. It's not much more, to be honest. It's called a Sprite Knight, which I think is kind of appropriate, especially for a group of creatures that's tends to be a little more militaristic, especially compared to their counterparts. But the stat block is mostly the same, obviously a little bit more increased towards the actual combat. They do have innate spellcasting. They have Druidcraft and Fairy Fire, and they have Charm Person, Fog Cloud, and Mirror Image. They have multi-attack. Their damage does 3 slashing, for the longsword, and actually an actual 1d6 plus 4 piercing for the short bow. And basically they're meant to be a CR2, and the Constitution save on the poison is a little bit higher, from 10 to 13, and the heart sight is same deal, 10 to 13. Still says touches the creature. Unfortunately.
Andrew, hit me up. Slide into my Twitter DMs. We'll have a talk about that for your second edition. We'll have a little chat. Fight.
Don't do it, Andrew. He's gonna beat you up. He's gonna lose his cool, man. I promise.
As long as he doesn't try and defend the heart sight touch thing, I'm not gonna lose my cool.
That's totally fair. But yeah, that's it. That's all. That's Sprites. That's Sprites. That's what we got. Have you ever used a Sprite?
No, I haven't. I haven't even really given them the time of day. Very similar to Pixies, to be honest with you. But now that we've gone through this episode, I know I mentioned it last week, but in the Dresden Files, there is a character called Toot Toot, and I don't believe that they're a Pixie anymore. I believe that they are a Sprite, and that if you want to really use these, I would recommend looking at that as inspiration for it. Obviously, read the lore that Andrew's written in Monsters of Feyland. That would be absolutely fantastic. But you're right; these are roleplay centric characters. They're not. They shouldn't be used as like a mob. But that's how I would use them. I would honestly use them as a swarm. It makes the most sense to me, but not like designed to intentionally hurt the players, but just to annoy the piss out of them. Like, I like enemies that shoot first and ask questions later, because my players specifically are pretty good at talking their way to combat, and I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. We do all right.
Yeah, so I like creatures that shoot first and ask questions later. I think they're a little unnecessarily racist, but I can relate to a creature that by nature is standoffish and wants their own space and thinks highly of themselves. Those are all traits that I embody to a degree that I am uncomfortable with.
Totally.
So I feel like I could play these pretty accurately, but I don't understand why you would need both these and Pixies in your world. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to use Pixies appropriately.
Right.
I haven't spent that time with Sprites, and honestly, the stat block doesn't blow me away enough to want to spend the time to try and figure out how spiritual braille works in D&D. It's not where my ambition lies. I would just nix them and use Pixies, because these are so incredibly disappointing that they just really fill the same niche that Pixies can fill. Like, there's nothing saying that Pixies can't be shitty little emo kids. So I would just do that.
Right. Well, I've used these guys once.
Okay.
And this is probably one of my favorite parts of, running D&D when I was in Australia. And I just leaned hard. I didn't, at that point, I didn't even care about the stat block, realistically. I leaned really hard into two things. One, they could put you to sleep with their arrows. And two, very particularly, that they could potentially live in the boughs and branches of a tree ant. And I just came up with something so stupid. I'm reasonably sure I was drinking at a place called the White Hart Bar when I came up with this. And basically, I had early on in this sort of short run campaign, I had plugged one particular PC that they knew something that the rest didn't, and they basically alone had the next part of the adventure hook. And so when they came to a sort of spot where they're like, they didn't know where to go, this guy was like, we need to go find a character named Morris Moss. And what he didn't know was Morris Moss was a tree ant. And what none of them knew was that they were going to encounter first a bunch of sprites who were living in the trees or living in the boughs of Morris Moss. And so traveling through the forest, they heard a bunch of voices and bushes rustling, just like the Lord described. And then one of them actually failed the arrow, Constitution save, and fell asleep. If I remember correctly, it was the drunken master monk who was an actual alcoholic. So I might have just given him disadvantage for already being drunk or something. So he fell asleep with that DC 10, and they had to drag his body along the way. And they eventually talked to the sprites and got to Morris Moss, who talked very slowly in a very annoying way. and it just took forever. But my favorite part of all of this is that I had created a scenario in that there was a land dispute amongst the branches of Morris Moss. And Morris Moss thought this was hilarious, but the sprites thought this was a very, very serious thing. And,
Sounds right.
yeah, and my exposition for this is going to cover a good amount of it. I guess after the fact spoiler. I haven't actually recorded it yet, as of the recording of this part. But I guess for a heads up for yourself, that's what it will cover. Essentially the PCs had to help with the dispute. And I did, and if I remember correctly, I did talk about this briefly in our Trian episode, which was like episode 3, I think, of this podcast. So this is I think maybe a closer peek at what happened. But I essentially very loosely was like, okay, these sprites are going to utilize the PCs or volunteers for a battle. What was called, I think it was called the Battle of Swords, and they wanted like warriors by proxy. So immediately the paladin dove in and was like, I will be a warrior. And then I think the barbarian did as well. But what they didn't know is it wasn't an actual battle of swords, but it was like a euphemism for a dance-off.
Right.
So I had these two hilarious dudes. One of them really big and bulky, like a big bearded dude. He was our security at the bar we worked at. And then one of them was this shorter, like super scruffy, awesome hipster bartender dude. He was so cool. And I made them do a dance off. It was rock, paper, scissors, essentially. Super simple. But one of the dance moves was jazz hands combined with Gene Simmons wagging his tongue at a Kiss concert. Okay. I'm reading my old notes right now, just so you know, from December 10, 2018. And then there was the other one was like a super over the top Running Man that shifts into a hammer dance and back again. And then the other one was the Slut Dropper or the Bend and Snap from Legally Blonde.
Amazing.
And they had no idea this was going to happen, and they volunteered for it. And then I told them they had to get up, and everyone was like losing their mind laughing. They were so embarrassed, but they did it. They followed through, and we had such a great laugh, and it was so dumb.
That's awesome.
And that was my use of sprites, essentially.
Well, it's way better than anything I've got. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, beyond that, I think, homebrew-wise, getting slightly more seriously, but we won't take up much more time. I think there's a lot of room for just what you had for Pixies to be employed on sprites here. Especially the influence of hags. since sprites are already, loath to, but, at some point might be willing to enter their domain, their lair, and their garden. So making them pretty ripe targets for corruption and influence.
Sure, yeah. Or the influence of My Chemical Romance. Who knows?
Jesus.
I wanted to use a more obscure emo band because I really like them and they deserve all the shout outs they get. But I went with My Chemical Romance because I feel like people will know them.
How about Sausen?
Seosin is how it's pronounced.
Damn it. I had no idea. But at least you got it.
Yeah. Oh no, I had friends who were into it. I really only got into a band called Senses Fail, but that was
Oh yeah, that rings a bell.
I love Senses Fail. They're super good. And for all of you out there who are wicked curious, yes, sprites are also a large-scale electrical discharge which occurs high above the cloud, specifically in clusters between 50 and 90 kilometers above the Earth's surface that are reddish-orangish in color.
And that, dear listeners, is your suspicions confirmed.
There are so many of these, man. Sprites, elves, trolls, pixies, ghosts, and gnomes. They're all upper atmospheric discharges.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Did not come across that.
I'll be linking it in the show notes because it's super good.
Yeah, wicked.
But yeah, I mean, if you like that for whatever reason and you want to help us keep doing these, you want us to get to trolls so we can talk about that sweet upper atmospheric discharge, you can hit us up on patreon.com. $5 a month will help us keep the lights on, and it will get you a handwritten letter by me because Freeman's handwriting is not what we would consider writing.
Nope.
For $10 a month.
Chicken scratch at best.
Yeah. For $10 a month, you can get access to all of that, our private Discord, and you can suggest a creature. So if you want to expedite us doing ghosts, there you go. $10 a month, done. We will ghost you. I think that's how that phrase is used. And if you just want to chat, you can hit me specifically up on Twitter at EncounterPod. If you want to talk to Freeman, you can get at him at Instagram.com/encounter.pod, or both of us are relatively reachable on Facebook.com/encounter.pod. You can fire us off an email at info@encounterthis.ca, or you can check our entire back catalog where we've got a whole bunch of shitty show notes at encounterthis.ca. Please rate and review this. Rate it well, though. If you didn't like it, just don't. That's sweet. But I mean, if you made it this far and you didn't like it, I mean, props to you. I respect you. Throw that 1 star up. That's commitment.
Yeah. What do you got to lose?
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week in Fapril for the metalheads or metal-shoed little bastards that I'm super looking forward to.
Oh, me too.
The Red Caps.
I can't wait. I can't wait for you to do Red Caps. It's going to be great.